Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after dismissing the crowds, Jesus went up the mountains by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but by this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from the land, for the wind was against them. And early in the morning he came walking toward the disciples on the sea. But when they saw Jesus walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." Jesus said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and started walking on the water and came toward Jesus. But when Peter noticed the strong wind, he became frightened. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out and caught Peter, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" When they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshiped Jesus, saying, "Truly, you are the child of God." So this is a passage about faith. Recently we talked about the miracle of the loaves and the fishes. And we discussed whether it's literal or where it's metaphorical. And in a sense, you could say, well, it doesn't matter. The teaching is God provides abundantly when we don't expect it, or what have you. But I don't think that's enough for us. I was putting pressure on people to go, do you believe? We're never going to know, because we can't stand there. We can't travel back in a time machine to know, did it actually happen, or was it just some sort of metaphorical teaching? And in the same way that we can't be on the water and see Jesus walk across it as it is recounted in the Bible. So you're faced with the decision. Do you believe that it happened? Or is walking on the water just a metaphor for, being on top of your emotions, being able to supersede the perceived reality? The reason I think it's a lot more exciting to believe is because it opens a gate into a whole other realm of possibility. If you sincerely decide, I believe this happened, that means things that seem impossible happen. It's just that simple. Therefore, whatever it is that you're facing in your life that you would like to happen, that is not happening, that you feel on some level is not possible because it defies the law of physics, it defies physical reality, it defies what you have experienced over the last 20, 30, 40 years, then I pretty much guarantee you it's probably not going to happen. Because the law follows your belief. And that's love. Because God gives us tremendous responsibility over our lives. We're created whereby how we believe and how we think leads to what we create. And I have taught for a long time that the purpose of life is creation. You get to use the tools. You get to use the physical tools of your hands and dexterity, of your words, the metaphysical tools of your thoughts, and all the inner creative forces that the animals don't have. They have instinct. The plants follow a certain structure. But we have choice. And that choice is just so vast and so beautiful. And we don't realize the extent to which our choice is being pinched off by what we believe is possible. Now, there can be other people that go, I have the faith, just show it to me. This is the problem. That having faith and believing in the impossible is step one. Step two is learning how to walk on water. Just because you believe you could walk on water does not mean you're going to walk out there and it's going to happen. To the same degree that just because you believe you can run a 4-minute mile, you're not going to put on your shoes and go, I believe, and therefore today I will do it. You have to develop the ability and the skill. And perhaps this is where many of us fall short, because we go, I have the faith, and I pray for it, and it doesn't happen, and we want to have the faith, but I can't help it. My mind gets doubtful. That is a mind that has not yet been matured. That's all. We shouldn't hate the mind that hasn't been matured, because have we really tried to mature it? Have we worked ceaselessly and tirelessly to develop that strength that allows us to perform in the moment? I would say we're doing that. So you have Jesus who has developed that. So when he walks on water, it's just like, this is what I do. I mean, he doesn't do it to show off. He does it because there's a need. His friends are struggling on the boat. So he's like, I haven't got time to find a boat and sail out to them. I got to get there quickly. So by that need, driven by love, the miracle occurs. The beautiful thing about Peter, he goes, call me, I want to do it too. It's such a beautiful energy. It just opens my heart, because I know we got that in us. We got the part in us, no matter how jaded you've been, how clobbered you've been by life, how abused and neglected and mistreated and misinformed you've been, that part will not go away. The part that says, if it's possible, Jesus, call me. I'm going to do it. And he starts, but he doesn't have the development. He has enough development to get started, but then probably the mind kicks in and goes, it's really windy, it's still a little bit dark, I can't do this. And then he starts to sink. So Jesus goes, oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? He doubted not because he's against Jesus, but because his mind had not been strengthened to a point where the doubts could not seep in. That's hard work, granted. I looked up the word science. The word science simply means to know. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I want to know. I want to know how to do it. So I've got to study it scientifically. Now, I don't have a strong, compelling desire to walk on water, because it's not that practical for what I do. I certainly don't have any desire to demonstrate something like that, because that sort of goes against what I believe, which is we're not trying to make a big show, we're trying to serve people and love people. Think about the last time you had to write a test. What are we doing in preparation? We are preparing so that when we face that unknown moment, in other words, you open the paper and they ask you questions, your mind serves up the response. So in the days, weeks, hours leading up to it, you're training your mind to be able to perform in that moment. Memorization, pondering of certain concepts, taking in more information to try to understand, so that at the moment, the answers come to us, we provide them on the paper. So that preparation is very much part of faith. I have the faith that I can do really well on the exam, therefore I put the hours into study. And when I sit there in the exam, it's unknown. I don't know what they're going to ask me. So this concept of faith is the belief in things not yet seen. I have not seen the exam, but I believe that I will be able to fulfill at a high level what is asked of me. Therefore, I must prepare. So I really want you to put this into practice. Now, I said I was moved by what Tom shared, and I was deeply moved by it. Because when you start to love somebody, this energy overtakes you. It's such a beautiful thing to want to relieve the suffering of another person. And you will find that that'll be a shortcut to miracles. It's okay if you need miracles for yourself. you want some things that seem impossible, that's okay. But let's trace back and go, is this about love? Now, if it's about a miracle, about you want something from somebody else, okay. Do you have faith that God could move into the heart of that other person and ignite a desire for it? Yes. I would say that you should have faith that it's possible. At the same time, that other individual has to open and decide that they want that. It doesn't have to do anything with faith with them. It has to do with whether or not they want to. So if you're trying to reconcile with somebody, or you're trying to get some apology, or you want to forgive somebody, or you want to have some kind of connection with somebody, or move something forward, you can have the faith for it, but you can't do the work for the other person. And that can create heartache. When it comes to something that you want for somebody else, or you want for yourself, you have to develop good preparation. You have to be patient in strengthening your mind, so that doubt becomes an irritant. I think about when I'm out working and all of a sudden you realize, oh, there's mosquitoes around, because you get that little kind of thing that's very irritating to me. So typically, once I hear that, I go, I'm probably going to put on some insect repellent. I might wait and see if it's just a one-off thing or not. If it starts to become, okay, they're definitely all around, then I'm not going to hesitate and endure this discomfort. I'm going to do something about it. And I want you to develop the ability to notice when doubt, like that insect, starts to distract you. You have to have tools to counter that. If you go, well, I guess it's probably not going to happen because, well, there must be a reason the doubt's coming up. The reason the doubt is coming up is because you have not developed yet. Spiritual development. You have to strengthen your mind. You have to have no interest in doubt. So doubt can come around and you just go, it's like, you bother me, go away. But there's no party that goes, I wonder if that's meaningful. So you got to practice that. You got to practice having no interest in doubt. And you got to practice having full interest in faith. So that's going to make you vulnerable, because you believe in things and you go for things that other people might go, it's not possible, or why are you wasting your time, or this is the way to do it. So I want you to meditate and connect to a faith-based life. Begins with, I believe that all things of love are possible. Because we're not really interested in developing things of ego and things of darkness. Though I know that you can figure out how to get those things too. I don't really want to cultivate a lot of energy. I want to go, anything that is driven by love is possible. Now, do I believe that? That's a decision. That you don't have to spend a lot of work on that. You just have to decide. Once you decide, then there is work. You've got to develop the ability, the skills, to actualize what you want. Why do you think that they put a surgeon through 10 years of medical school and internships and residency? And I don't really know it all, but basically I've heard, because they cannot afford to risk somebody coming to a hospital who's going like, I have faith that somebody's going to fix me, and then that person doesn't know what they're doing. So if you're interested in being a servant, it's the same thing. At some point, people will come to you going, what do I do? Help me. And you have developed the skill and the ability through practice, through trial and error, through persistence, through trying and failing, to be able to do it and demonstrate it confidently, the way that Jesus walked on the water. He walked on the water because he did not have any resistance to the idea. So when you begin to provide guidance to other people, or when you begin to love other people, your whole system has been transformed to go, this is the truth. The other person will go, I don't know, I'm trying, but it's not working for me. Right, because they haven't developed the skills and the time and the constitution to be able to do it yet. And then there are people who are not really interested in doing that work. They kind of want to be hampered through it. And we do what we can in those instances. I don't want to cause people suffering just because they don't want to develop the ability and the skill. It's a choice whether or not you do. But how glorious of a life when you do the work. And your faith then is supported by your skill and your ability, and you begin to see, oh, this is how it works. I see why now before I prayed fervently, but it didn't come to pass. It wasn't because God had another plan for me. It wasn't because everything happens for a reason. It was because I had not yet learned how to work in the metaphysical universe with skill and proficiency. So take the scientific approach. Do you want to know how the metaphysical works? Study it. Watch it. Try and fail, and then try again. And develop. I'm talking about your mind for the most part. Notice when your mind starts to take you into doubt, and then when you go into meditation, go, what happened? Why did I start to drop right there? Oh, did I get hungry? Oh, did I get tired? Oh, did somebody not respond to a text? Oh, did somebody, say something to me that was a little off? Oh, did I have to wait a little bit too long in a lineup? Whatever it was that struck me emotionally, and then my mind goes, it's not worth it, and there I start to drop. Oh, very interesting. Now I begin to study when the doubt begins to take hold, and I begin to lose faith. You make an adjustment. Next time, when that little incident happens, you go for the insect repellent, and you kill it right away. And you begin to develop this strength. People go, it's exhausting. For a while it is exhausting, because you go, man, it's like happening a lot. I didn't realize how much my mind was, sort of not yet developed in faith. I don't have the strength of mind. I don't have the strength in emotion. Let's develop it. So when hardship comes, that's when you can say, I see how this hardship is allowing me to strengthen, which in turn gives me a stronger faith because I develop the ability to overcome blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not that hard to manifest these things. It might take longer than you had hoped. It might take more effort than you had hoped. Jesus makes it sound like, and the Bible makes it sound like, it's just do it and it happens in a moment. That's not been my experience. My experience is you got to work at it, and it will come.